Good morning, everybody. My name is SSgt Tregoning, and I am coming at you today with a quick Air Force video on budgeting and planning for the future. Personal finance and investing is a huge passion of mine. I've dedicated countless hours to studying and listening to podcasts, maybe 30 minutes, an hour every day. I've read countless books on the matter. Applying these principles that I'm going to be talking a little bit about today in this presentation has helped me generate a net worth of around $150,000 in my 4 short years in the military. I don't say that to brag or boast, but to prove what's possible applying these principles, and that I practice what I preach. Let's get into it. In today's presentation, I'm going to cover the importance of budgeting, creating a budget, increasing savings, investing those savings, and the power of compound interest. Alright, so what is a budget and why should you care? Any successful business model has people, right? Accountants, whoever they are, that track expenses going out and income coming in. It's essential to any business model. You should treat your personal finance like a business, right? If you have financial goals that you're trying to accomplish, you need to be extensively tracking all your expenses, your savings rates, and making a real plan to accomplish this, whether it's saving for a down payment on a house or investing, which everybody should be focused on, putting money into your TSP or other major life purchases. You're going to need a budget to accomplish this. Step 1 in creating a budget is determine your income. This is pretty easy to do in the military. You just log into MyPay and see what your income is after taxes. The next step is determine your fixed expenses. This could include mortgage and rent payments, car payments, insurance payments, whether that's home insurance or car insurance, your streaming subscriptions, Netflix, Spotify, ESPN Plus, whatever it may be, gym memberships, and the list goes on and on. A fixed expense is a monthly static expense, something that's going to be the same every month. Now you need to take a good look at these, right? If you're trying to cut down your spending and see which of all of them you truly need, right? Some people have Netflix, Spotify, Hulu, ESPN, and then they got Amazon Prime and all these other streaming things. You might want to look into that and see if you're actually using all of those entertainment sources. Next step in creating your budget is to determine your variable expenses. Variable expenses are things that can and will change on a monthly basis. Alright, these include your groceries, your gas, your utilities, dining out, entertainment, clothing purchases, anything, right? The list goes on in this one as well. Easy ways to do this is you can either review your credit card statements, or there's also apps that I will talk about later in this video that will help actually track your credit card statements. You hook up your credit card to these apps and they're able to actually give you an easy way to visualize how much you're spending in each category, such as entertainment, food, or utilities. Alright, now it's time to actually create your budget. I would recommend planning for necessities first, right? Everybody needs a roof over their head, so you're going to need to cover your mortgage and your rent first, and then travel, your car and your car insurance, and next you're going to do your food, which should be groceries. That's a necessity. Eating out isn't so much of a necessity, but you should budget for groceries first and treat eating out as a luxury. Next, I would recommend paying off debts above 5%. The reason why I say above 5% debts pay off right away is because you can easily generate returns above 5% in your retirement accounts. So your money is, it's the opportunity cost. So you rather have your money invested than paying off those debts first. Next, plan for your TSP contribution. This is totally up to you, but I would recommend every single service member should at least be putting 5% in this TSP. Next, you're going to plan for your emergency savings. So most experts recommend to have at least 3 to 6 months of living expenses into their emergency savings. However, we don't necessarily need that in the military because it's extremely hard for us to get fired. So I would recommend maybe 1 month of emergency expenses just so you're comfortable if, you know, in the event of something crazy happens, like your car breaking down or needing to replace something huge in your car, or fixes to your house or repairs. Next, pay off debts below 5%, so you know 3-4% interest rates. Pay those down now, and then you can plan for fun spending, because what's the point of being financially responsible if you can't enjoy your money from time to time? Okay, so here I got an example of a budget. I use my numbers just as a display for you guys. So childcare, none. I have no kids. Medical, so we're really lucky with this one, being in the military. Free healthcare, that's awesome. I live with roommates, so my rent payment is $1,100 a month. That's a really good way to save money, if at all possible for you. I know a lot of single airmen can do it, but if you're married or have kids, it's not so feasible. Next, food, whatever number's comfortable with you. I like eating. I eat a lot, so $500 for me. Transportation costs, so that's going to be your car payment, your insurance, and your gas on top of that. Other whatever money you want to spend, you know, you stop at the store to get a Gatorade, a protein bar, stop at Starbucks to get some coffee, whatever it may be. Actually, not Starbucks, that would go in food. But anyways, random money. Savings for me is going to be $600. That's the minimum. I do that direct deposit between that and my TSP. And then finally, taxes, 0, because we're calculating all of our after-tax income, so that doesn't come into play. And then you see down at the bottom right that we have $2,000 left. And you may be thinking, why won't you budget for that? That's a really good question. The reason I don't like budgeting for that, and I only like to put that $600 in savings, is because it reduces my financial stress. So I see that $2,000, and most months I will invest, you know, $1,500, $2,000 at the end of it, but it just gives me a little bit of flexibility, so I'm not thinking I'm going over budget if my buddies want to go, you know, to a different island and take a little vacation, or go out for drinks on the town, or go skydiving, or any little expenses like that. So I'm able to have some fun and not worry so much about my budget. Alright, some awesome budgeting resources. As I talked about earlier, we have Mint and Personal Capital. These are great apps and great resources. So what you can do is you input your credit card information on there, and you set your budget, you know, similar to how we just did, $300 on food, $500 on transportation, whatever it may be. And it will track your purchases on your credit card, and it will automatically input that into your budget as they're coded, and it will send you emails if you go over on your budget. Super useful app. The Smart Asset Calculator that I just displayed for you on the example, it's a great tool just to create a quick budget for yourself if you don't want to go so in depth on the Mint and Personal Capital places. You can go the old school way of Excel, just inputting your budget in there and creating that. And then finally, military financial counselors are an amazing resource. They'll sit down with you for about 30 minutes to an hour and calculate your whole budget, and then they'll calculate your net worth and everything like that. So they're amazing. I would definitely recommend everybody take the time to go set up a budget with the military financial counselors. All right, here's some ways to increase savings. First, your housing expense is always going to be your highest expense. So obviously we're going to attack that first, if at all possible. Live with roommates, reduce that housing expense. Next, you could refinance your mortgage. There's historically low interest rates right now. I think you can get them like 2.7% to 3%, or I've seen as low as actually 2.25 on the VA loan. So that's a great way to save money on the long term. Obviously, there is that opportunity cost because you're going to still have to pay those closing costs when you go to refinance that mortgage. So, but in a lot of cases, it will save you money over the long run. All right, a way to decrease food expenses: cook at home. It's cheaper, it's healthier, all around better deal, just less convenient. Maximize credit card rewards. So this one is extremely interesting, right? Because some people budget and think they can't travel anymore, but we have a unique advantage in the military to maximize those SRCA benefits, which essentially will waive all credit card annual membership fees for military. So you can use this to your advantage by getting numerous platinum cards and all the expensive travel cards. And I do it. And what you can do is just you can hit those bonuses and then use a lot of the cards like the platinums will give you $200 a year to spend on airline purchases. So you can get many of those and rack and stack the benefits. Same with some of the Hilton cards. They'll give you free night stays and points. And yeah, essentially get a bunch of credit cards and maximize those rewards points to travel for free. Some of the platinums even give you credits for PayPal, $30 a month each on PayPal and $15 a month each on Uber and Uber Eats. So that's a way to get some free food, and I love leveraging that and eating out using my Uber Eats free points from those platinum cards. Feel free to contact me if you. That's a long discussion. If you want me to go more in depth, just contact me and I'll tell you how it works and the ins and outs of, they call it credit card churning, if you want to look that up and learn more about it. There's some videos on it as well. And next is cut down entertainment expenses. You don't have to be going out with your buddies every week, going downtown. It gets expensive, or once you start tracking it, you'll see how much you're truly spending on whatever you do for entertainment. All right, this one is huge. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is a concept that refers to increasing your spending when you get promoted and your income increases, right? This is the reason why a lot of people in this world aren't able to invest and generate wealth and generate a good retirement, is because once they get an income, they find a way to spend it, right? A lot of people, it doesn't matter if you make $100,000 a year, $40,000 a year. A lot of people are going to find a way to spend that, all of it, and live paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because a lot of people, make a lot of money, $100,000 a year, whatever it may be, and feel like they deserve that, and they buy more expensive things or start eating out more, or buy these useless materialistic items that are designed to elevate their social status. Don't fall into the trap. All right, now we're going to get a little bit into the investing stuff. So invest your savings. First, I would recommend going into the Roth TSP. It makes a lot more sense for a lot of service members. So what the Roth TSP is it's a post-tax retirement account. So your money is taxed, and then it's put into this Roth TSP, and then it grows tax-free from there. So the advantage to that is we're in a, well, at least I'm not sure what like the senior NCOs and officers are in. I'm sure it's a little higher based on base pay. However, I can tell you for the younger enlisted, we're in the lowest tax bracket we will ever be in our life. On paper, I think we only do like $20-something thousand a year. So our income tax bracket is extremely low, right? So this is an advantage because I think we all plan on making more in the future than $20,000. So when it grows, you take it out tax-free. Boom. So we pay about whatever it may be, 12, 20%. I think it's 12%. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, and then the traditional TSP, you put in pre-tax right now, and then it gets taxed later at your taxable income. So if you're making a lot more money in the future, then they might end up taking about 40% of that, whereas the Roth, they're only taking 12, 15, 20%. Next, you can get into individual brokerage accounts. Within those, you can go into mutual funds, ETFs, or equities. What a mutual fund and an ETF is, it's a big group of stocks. So you can buy one share of an S&P 500, for instance. Now, this is a collective of the 500 biggest companies in the world. So you own a little bit of Apple, a little bit of Tesla, a little bit of Amazon, a little bit of Microsoft, and you just pay $300 and you get a little bit in piece of all of these companies. So that way you can minimize and mitigate all of your risks. So if one company crashes and the others are still doing well, you don't lose out big time. In an equity, you can just buy shares of companies that you like or think that are going to do well. You can get one share of Tesla or one share of Apple or one share of Microsoft and own a very, very, very little small percentage of that company. Lastly, you can get into real estate investing. There's tons of good resources to learn about this. You can start by just purchasing a home. For instance, in Hawaii, it's a pretty good place to do it because the real estate appreciates pretty fast out here. So I've seen a few people that were able to buy a property and then sell it after their tour in Hawaii was up for a pretty good profit. Or you could hold on to it and rent it out later. Or a common trick is what's called house hacking that I see a lot of people do, which is buying a multifamily property, for instance, like a duplex property, living in one half, and then renting out the other. And what this does is essentially allows you to live for free because you're renting out the other side and they're paying most or all of your mortgage. Right? Start early. You have to start, and the best time to start investing is yesterday. The second best time is today because you're going to have compound interest on your side. So what is compound interest? Compound interest is interest earned on interest, right? So it would be $100 at 10% interest would be $110 the first year and $121 the second year. So just an example of the power of compound interest. So we have a few things here. So if Sarah invests $500 a month starting at age 20, okay? Joe invests $500 a month starting at age 30. Andrew invests $500 a month starting at age 40. And Jennifer invests $50,000 starting at age 45. See what the outcomes would be. So Sarah will have $1.67 million at age 60 by the time she's ready to retire. Joe will have $700,000 at age 60, right? Joe just invested 10 years later the same amount. Andrew will have $296,000 at age 60. Andrew started 20 years later than Sarah. And Jennifer will only have $158,000 at age 60. Not quite enough to retire. All right. And finally, to leave you with a little piece of information of what everyday millionaires look like. So Dave Ramsey did a study of millionaires, the everyday American millionaire. They surveyed about 10,000 millionaires nationwide, and I think a lot of the facts and the findings of these surveys will shock a lot of people. So 8 of 10 invested in their company's TSP. Excuse me. The average time to hit $1 million was only 28 years. 79% of these millionaires did not receive any inheritance. And only 31% averaged over $100,000 per year during their career. So what does this say? Millionaires are average people, and they can and commonly do work normal jobs. Accountants, teachers, plumbers, military members. Millionaires are not always lucky and fortunate with inheritance or born into wealth. Generating wealth just takes discipline and extensive planning. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time. I hope that you learned something today. Feel free to reach out to me with any tips, tricks, or questions. Thank you.